Time now for the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series. Our very special guest, Lolita Milena, is joining us, star of Buzzfeed's One Up, actress, author, activist. She's got a beautiful story. She hails originally from Siberia, and she is in Ohio, just outside the Cleveland area right now, joining us in just a second. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us here. I'm Jim Masters, your host. This is the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series, where we're bringing back the lost art of conversation. If you would like to participate while the show is on, you can do it right now in our JMS Lovity chat room. That is a chat room we have open and available right now for all of you when you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, which houses and is the home of the Jim Masters Show Live series. You click that subscribe button, you get a special gift from us. That is the ability to, and the pleasure of, and the luxury of chatting with one another and chatting with us in what is the chat room section live that happens on our YouTube channel on all the episodes. So it's not the comment section where you can comment at any time 24/7, and we would love for you to do that. It's an actual chat room that it happens when the shows are on, when they're airing. So feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can chat, say hello. A lot of people have done that. They become friends as well, and they're friends of our series. If this is your first time here, welcome. It's so great to have you here. We have done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of episodes of our series, and you can binge watch all of them on our YouTube channel. I'm talking, we're over 900. Just recently, this past weekend, we reached 900 episodes in less than 3 years. Congratulations, everybody. That is a milestone. Thanks for tuning in, your love, your support, being here almost 3 years and 900 plus episodes later. Some of you are here every show. You never miss a thing. And if you do miss it live, you're always checking out the archives and then commenting and giving us a like and all the rest. And we really appreciate that. That it takes a village, and that's how things grow and expand. So we love that. So yeah, subscribe, comment, leave a like for us. That helps our ability to reach more people. As I mentioned, Lolita is here, and she's an extraordinary actress, author, and so much more. She immigrated to the United States in 2002 as a toddler with then her foster family. In the fall of the same year, through child abuse, Lolita was left permanently paralyzed. And we're going to talk about that. She was shortly after that adopted by her current family. Now, her introduction to the art form began in musical theater at the age of 6, just 6 years old. Yeah, she's been doing it for quite some time, and she loves it. Having performed in an accumulated 20 theatrical productions, Lolita has turned to social media platforms to create content ranging from short skits to special effect makeup. During her junior high year of high school, 2017, Lolita had taken on the challenge in writing a 50,000 word novel in just 30 days. Not only did she surpass the word count goal by 14,000, but she did so in just 20 days. Her first published novel, 2459, won her first place in her state, which is incredible. We're going to talk about that. And also in 2017, Lolita had discovered TikTok, opening a whole new world of possibilities and opportunities. And she's gained popularity on the platform by uploading short acting and comedic skit clips. As of 2023, Lolita has been steadily climbing the ranks of that popular app and sitting around somewhere around 720,000 followers. Now, of course, those 720,000 followers that are following her on TikTok, we welcome them all to join us here and watch the Jim Masters Show live series with Lolita as our special guest. Hello to everybody there from TikTok and elsewhere. In 2019, Lolita was discovered by her management through TikTok, who assisted her and helped her get into the industry, eventually booking the character Jenna in Lionsgate and Buzzfeed's One Up. That's right. While being an actress and self-published author, Lolita also began work with relationships and working relationships with cosmetic and clothing brands through the social media platforms. And these brands being, and not limited to, Tie-Dye and Abercrombie and Fitch and Orange Juice brand clothing. In summer of 2019, Lolita also had been one of the faces for Abercrombie and Fitch's Face Your Fears campaign. She was adopted by her current family at the age of 2 years old after the incident and has 8 sisters, 1 brother, and is the 3rd youngest. And she hopes to continue growing with the influence, showing young men and women in a particular predicament that just because you have a disability doesn't mean you can't follow your dreams, which is so true. Um, that's just the short list, gang, of all the incredible things that she's doing. There is, of course, one up. Buzzfeed, Lionsgate's fantastic project, and there's the cast, and she's there on the right with the whole group. And yes, you probably know the series. I don't doubt you don't know the series. More great photos. We're going to talk about all these amazing shots. She takes beautiful photos. And again, she's an author. She's also an activist as well. We'll talk about some of her incredible activism, which I think is a beautiful thing. There's some shots too from on set. That's another great shot. And we'll talk about all this as we go along. We always like to sprinkle, some of these things in a little bit before we bring the guest on. So good to have you with us. Thanks for joining us. We're together, and there's nothing better than when we're together, right, gang? Love having you all here. And now it's time to bring our very special guest who's stopping by JMS, coming to us from Cleveland, Ohio, the greater Cleveland area. Lolita is here. She's in the house. Well, she's in her house. Lolita, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. So how you doing today? Busy day, crazy day, relaxing day?
Just kind of chilling around the house, honestly. It was cold but sunny, so I got to spend time with my dog and just spring cleaning, really, because it's the first day of spring.
That's right. It's the first day of spring. That's really cool. And my mother's birthday is tomorrow. My father's birthday was last week, and then we had St. Patrick's Day. It's been a very busy time around our locale here. It's funny. You and I were chatting before we went live on air, and we were talking about the dates. And I'm like, I was still thinking today, for some reason, today to me felt like a Monday when it's actually a Tuesday. And I'm like, whew, it's just, there's so many things going on. It's so busy, and it just gets to be a blur sometimes. How about you? You do a lot of different things. You got a lot of cool things going. And of course, congratulations being one of the stars of BuzzFeed's One Up. That's exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A lot of at-home stuff, creating content through TikTok, Instagram, trying to come up with more ideas for YouTube. I do love YouTube. It's kind of you really have to sit down and really plan your video content for YouTube, which I just haven't.
It's like a beast, like a hungry monster. Yes. Yes. I can tell you that now. It is. But with the TikTok videos, what spurred you on to do the TikTok?
A dare from my little sister.
Was it really?
It was back when the app was called Musically, and she was saying, I don't think you could hold the account or continue the account longer than a week, because social media actually wasn't really my thing before that. And so I thought Musically was kind of cliched. I thought it was for younger people back then. And I jumped on the app, and it was the week it was changing into TikTok. It was like the week it was changing. And I got
Wow.
hooked as it turned into TikTok.
Now, had you been watching other people's videos as well?
I was watching cosplay content, but I never thought I would be able to do that. I didn't think I was capable of such fantastical artwork. So I followed a lot of those content creators, and then I branched into, it was called Acting Wars back on Musically, and I wanted to get into that as well. And then it just kind of blossomed into a beautiful thing when some, at the time, larger creators started duetting my content, and I went from 2,000 to, I think it was like 50,000 the next morning, and I was just mind blown.
That's incredible. What was the very first thing that you did? Do you remember what the very first one was?
It was I think it was audio from, oh my goodness, like an older comedy. Probably like a Jim Carrey audio.
Yeah.
Honestly, probably.
Yeah, because you do. There's a lot of comedic nature to it all, which I think is kind of cool. The world needs to laugh more. It needs more levity, and we talk about it here with the levity and the levity. It needs more reasons to smile and to get through the hardships, get through life, and any of the things that life throws our way. Right?
Oh, absolutely. And my comedy, I never thought myself as a funny person. I like to stick more towards artwork and expressing art. So I said, if people don't find me funny, that's totally fine. I have a billion other things that I want to do as well on my little account. And it was a wheelchair comedic video, I think was the one that really made it big. And people, I don't think were used to people like me making fun of their predicaments in such a very casual light that it everyone just loved it.
I think it's very, of course, as much as you are a phenomenal actress and author and all of those fantastic things that people see, from an outward appearance and presentation, you're also very inspiring and very empowering for anybody else who has any sort of struggle or situation, disability, whatever it may be, that is a really fantastic thing for people to see, witness, and feel. I think because there's a lot of people who have great talents. They have all these fabulous things they want to do and say and enjoy and share. But whatever's happening or has happened to them in their lives, they stay stuck. They stay, frozen in time, and fear takes over, and they just don't know what to do and how to get beyond, or even how to make whatever the circumstances work in their favor. And it really seems like you have done a masterful and beautiful way of doing that, and celebrating life in that way.
Um, it's mainly just because I grew up with so many siblings and I grew up in a home where disabilities were very common. So for us, we all grew up that way and we saw our disabilities as the absolute last trait that we had. And I didn't see that as inspiring per se until I got out into the real world. I would say probably high school, with social media becoming such a prominent figure in our lives for everyone, that a lot of people didn't grow up with it just being so casual and nonchalant as I did. So seeing that people call me an inspiration, I would just kind of giggle because to me it's just like, oh well, it's just kind of how I live.
It's
This is the
me
life.
living my life. Yeah.
So it was jarring at first when people with disabilities would come to me and say, "Well, how do you do it?" And I said, "Well, how do you not do it?" It took some learning on my end to understand how other people may not see the same way, but they can get there.
Exactly right, and that's the beautiful thing, that you do that, and you do it sort of effortlessly. Like you're saying, it's not something you're doing even intentionally. It's you living your life, and then other people see that, and they see the successes and the forward movement, and they're like, "Hey, that's I could do it too. That's fantastic." No matter what the situation is. I mean, we've gone through a pandemic. I mean, that's affected all of us, and we've had to sort of reboot and reconfigure and look at different things and how to sort of rise up out of that and deal with all of that. So, life can really throw you a lot of different curves, and it's really how you react and how you act, that makes a big difference, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about the fact that you have done some 20 theatrical musical productions. Tell us about that.
Uh, it wasn't theater that I got started in, but it was also theater that I started in with this art form. When I was first living with my current family, I fell in love with ballet. Easy. I loved dance. I always wanted to be a dancer, and I would wear out the floors of my
Yeah.
childhood home, wheeling back and forth dancing. So my folks took me to see, it was either Swan Lake or Sleeping Beauty. I don't remember which one.
Mm. Two good
Um,
ones. Yeah.
very good. And the dance instructor had noticed me because there aren't many little children in wheelchairs where I live, at least. And so she had gotten a hold of us and offered me the part of Clara's little sister in the Nutcracker ballet. Um, so of course we accepted, and I went on to portray that role for 5, 6-ish years before transitioning into theater as well as musical theater in 2011.
Wow. So when you transitioned into musical theater in 2011, what were you working on? What was one of the first things that you started doing?
The first show was not musical, but it was called Our Town.
Oh,
Um,
that's legendary.
I it was my first ever speaking role.
Wow.
I I
What
don't
a
remember.
project to be a part of. Yeah.
So we went through the play. We were going through all the rehearsals and whatnot. And one time we came home, and my mom looks at me and she goes, "Lita, I think every character's dead." My mother had not read the story or watched the film like I did with my dad to get ready for the show. And I didn't realize it until the end as well that they were all dead. And it was a flashback. So it was kind of a sad, morbid intro to theater, but that's also right up my alley. So it was a fun play, in my opinion.
Now you also you took on the challenge to do the TikTok. You
Hmm.
also took on the challenge, which back I believe in 2017, in writing a 50, as I mentioned in the introduction, 50,000 word novel in just a month, 30
Yeah.
days, 28 days if it was February. But not only did you do that, but you surpassed the goal by
Mhm.
14,000 and you did it in 20 days.
Yes.
And you published your first novel, 2459. Tell us
Yes.
about that.
So it was a project within my school. We had two options. It was for a creative writing course. You could either do this really, in my opinion, very boring, bland project, or you could write in this challenge called NaNoWriMo, which takes place every November. Anyone can sign up and do it. And you could just track your word count through Word if you would like. And so I said, you know what? I've had this story brewing in my little noggin since I was 5, 6 years old. I've always wanted to put it to the pen and paper. So I did. And my teacher didn't believe me when I told him, "Oh, I'm done. I'm done with my book. Here it is." He believed that I had forged the word count, so he went through it himself and read the whole thing, and then he submitted me, and I won. I think first or second place because I think I was a day late in submitting it. I think that was like the only hindrance.
Wow. That's amazing. So, what was that process like writing it? Were you just, once you got going, were you just every day going at it, or were you taking breaks? Were you breathing?
Well, for me, ever since I was little, I will always visualize a story in my head. I will act out each individual part. I later learned that that's called maladaptive daydreaming. That's a very interesting topic if anyone would like to look into that. And so I would play out the chapters in my head, wheeling around my kitchen, wheeling around my home, playing it out exactly how I want it to go. Back up, no, I want to go this way. I want to go this way with the story. And so in the evenings, I would then sit down and go, I have it all planned out how I want it to go. Type, 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 call it a night.
Wow. So, I mean, did you wake up at night too with ideas? Sometimes, people are inspired late at night when the house is quiet and there's not a lot going on and they don't have to worry about texting people and answering emails and doing anything. The house is calm and they can think. And sometimes they even wake up out of sleep and dreams and then they start typing away.
Actually, whenever I wake up from dreams at night, it's because my next story comes from my dreams. All of my story ideas do come from my dreams because my dreams follow a plot. There's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end. And you can see that in my Sweet Dreams, Love Hell novel. Those are just a collection of dreams I actually had that I put to pen and paper, and I'm working on the second one right now. But all of my stories, movie scripts, book scripts, all of them come from my dreams anyway. So I wake up, I write them down as fast as I can. I go back to sleep to try and see if I can finish the story, if possible.
Have you always liked writing? Was that something that even in the early years you knew you wanted to do, you had a passion for?
Ever since I learned how to write, yes, I had notebooks upon endless notebooks of just little short stories that I wanted to publish. I had entire worlds created. I had realms in my head. So as soon as I learned how to write legibly, I was writing out these stories, and I still have a few. My parents still have a few of those old books.
What other kinds of things do you like to write? Do you like to write the shorter stories, or do you see yourself getting into longer form novels and much more? Do you like documentary? Do you like things of that nature as well?
I always thought I was just going to stick to vignette stories, which is just, the collection of short stories until I got older and realized that there is more to world building. Um,
Mm,
say when I was probably 10, I read Game of Thrones first and fell in love with the idea of world building. And I loved how detailed his writing was. And I also loved Stephen King growing up. I loved how
mm.
intricate the mind was with Stephen King. So I wanted to combine world building and knowing every thought of a character and their psychology. And I wanted to put that together somehow. So I fell in love with longer stories, but it took me a while.
Mm, that's really cool. It's so absolutely cool. Do you have a preference, acting versus writing? You said that right away. Notice, folks, you said that right away. Acting is your real passion. How about producing? Do you like producing?
I would love to produce. I have some acquaintances in the industry. Unfortunately, a lot of stuff has been halted for one reason or another. I'm scared to produce because I always saw that as really, really far off into the future, not next week. So I really hope one day to be, if anything, even an executive producer someday, because I like to give my input outside of just being, the actor on set for 12 hours a day versus here's a really cool idea. And they go, okay, let's put that into the project.
That is so cool. And then how did Buzzfeed's One Up happen? How did that, was that where somebody saw you on TikTok and then brought you in? How did that happen? And again, that's a really cool experience. I mean, then you start going into other levels just in notoriety and exposure. It's really amazing.
It was an accident that my management even found me. And it's kind of a funny story because
Wow.
they found me through TikTok. I was very, very fortunate. And I thought they were a scam artist. I thought they were a con
Right.
man.
Yeah. Right. Buy headshots and all that. Yeah.
That's what I thought it was because it wasn't for One Up, it was for, the most recent Texas Chainsaw film, actually, which I love horror films, and I thought it was too good to be true, and they kept saying, "Hi, would you like to audition for this? Would you like to audition for this?" And I kept writing them off as they're con artists, they're gonna say, "Sell us, your headshots and your feet pics."
The whole
But
package will make you a star.
and so, finally, I got a private message from someone who was their client at the time with over 1 million followers on the app, and to try and prove to me that they're real. And so she messaged me and she goes, "Hey, I just want to let you know that so and so is legit. They're real." And so I finally then gave in. We talked and I found out they are wonderful, a wonderful company to work with. And so it wasn't One Up that started the journey. It was actually Texas Chainsaw that we didn't know was Texas Chainsaw at the time. And then One Up came around, I think, a few months later, and I didn't even read that it was a Lionsgate Buzzfeed project. My brain just skipped that line on the email.
Those two names, Lionsgate and Buzzfeed, which have been separate entities, and then they emerge with their collaborations. Big, big names.
And my brain just skipped over the production company and went to like, oh, it's a little gamer comedy. They didn't even tell me like who was going to be in it or who was like pre-cast or anything. So I submitted the audition with the help of my roommate, giggling over some of the raunchy comedy.
Was it like
The
a self-tape situation?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's a
during COVID,
whole
this
new
was,
world, self-tape. Yeah.
but that worked out great for me
Yeah,
because
right.
before this, most auditions were New York, LA, and if you're not there.
You had to get there, right?
So I was very lucky that through a horrible pandemic opened up this whole world of self-tapes for me. So I got the call, I think it was a month or two later, and they said, "Can you be out to Canada tomorrow?"
Canada, I'm
And
headed there next week for
I
2
said,
TV
"Oh,"
projects. Yeah.
and I said, "Oh,
Where you going
yeah."
to? Where'd you go to?
I'm sorry.
Where'd you go to in Canada?
Toronto.
Toronto, yeah. We'll be
Yeah.
going through there next week too. So, so that's where they were filming, or how did
Mhm.
it work? That's where they were filming in Toronto, huh?
And we almost didn't get there in time because they were getting ready to. But I think the borders were actually closed, and they thought they were opening the borders the next morning, but we got through because of a work visa. They let us through.
Right, because it's when that happens, then everything becomes right. You never know, right? It could
Yep.
just change the deal.
But we got in.
So you got in. Was that your first time in Canada?
Yes, it was,
Yeah, huh?
and
Pretty,
everyone was.
and it almost didn't happen, right?
It almost wasn't going to be a thing.
No, it almost didn't. Um, Tell us about the cast and, just being with everybody and what it's like,
It's funny.
working with the group.
It's funny you say that because I have this notebook here. It was actually a gift from Ruby, and she had given, I think, all of us one and she told us in the little card to write down our experiences whenever we get work. And I had to summarize because this was gifted to us the final day of filming. So I had to just summarize as much as I could. Oh, the card's right here. And I was so fortunate, and I consider a lot of my cast and crew to be family. I still keep in contact with them to this day. I could not have asked for a better cast for my very first big time, big time production.
Do you do a lot of journaling, or are you somebody who likes to journal and keep record of your experiences
I
for
have
the
a dream.
day that you write your memoir eventually?
Yes, I have a dream journal. I have scientific journals. I have philosophy journals. I have
You do?
experience journals.
Wow. So you've got several different things going. So you put a few things in this one and then in that one and that one, that one. Is that how you do it?
I consider it my ADHD being organized. Just putting my thoughts into different journals and then closing the book.
Are they color coded?
They're not color coded, but they are cover coded. I have
Cover
little bits
coded.
for everything.
Wow, that's cool. Now, if a network called and said, we want to put you in a situation comedy, we're creating something on NBC or
Mhm.
Netflix or Peacock or any of them, because you have the TV networks and the streaming all doing stuff now, and they said situation comedy or drama. Hard decision because work is work and you want to
Yeah.
express yourself. But is there any one that you lean towards more?
So for me, for film, I love scary. I love horror films. I love psychological horror. I love thrillers. But
So
for
then
TV,
you were jumping up and crying and just doing everything you could when Jamie Lee Curtis won that Oscar,
I was
huh?
so hearing that she finally won her first
You were
Oscar.
like
It
raising
was a
your
little,
hands and everybody was just like cheering.
I think it
Yeah.
was a little late, but for film, not film, for TV, I love fantasy. I love like the supernatural paranormal style. So whenever I watch a TV show, it's usually aimed at like your Game of Thrones, your Supernatural, your Once Upon a Times, your Vikings. But for movies, it's Saw, Texas Chainsaw, Halloween, Get Out.
A friend took me to a couple of the Saw movies. Um, don't have dinner first.
It was my very first scary movie when I was 4.
Wow.
It was
You
an
were
X.
Saw was the very first one that you saw?
Yep.
So I was the very first one you saw. Yeah. You know what I like too? I love psychological
Yep.
thrillers. Like Exorcist kind of stuff, where even like the Twilight Zone, where it's got a twisted ending, you're being led down this thought process, and then all of a sudden it's something completely different. And then it's a statement about how we all react to each other and how we all treat each other and how society operates or doesn't operate. But yet they use the psychological thriller aspect to sort of draw you in to get a message across. That's
Yeah, I would
kind of
say
cool. Yeah.
right.
Are they in the closet? Is somebody under the bed? You don't necessarily have to see if they are, but just the fear that somebody's under the bed or in that closet, you
Yeah,
know?
mine's wait for a psychological. I love 1408. I liked to play Misty for Me. I liked what are some other ones that I loved growing up? Glass House I thought was really good.
Although these days now, if you want to watch horror, all you have to do is watch those videos of the Ring doorbells that they post with the creepy people 2 in the morning coming up to people's houses, just wanting to come in the house, or hey, they got a
Oh,
loaf of bread, or yeah, I don't know if you've seen any of those, but they have them on YouTube, and it's like, oh my God, this stuff's going on 24/7 everywhere. It's all material for a movie, that's for sure.
a lot of paranormal activity style stuff nowadays.
Absolutely, yes. That's a cool shot too. What was happening in this shot, Lolita?
Um, who took that photo? Might have been one of our makeup artists.
Yeah,
Took just because we were all there and we said, "Hey, let's make our own little promotional
yeah.
photos." Took that. I think it was my phone. It might have been Paris's phone. Actually, I think it might have been mine.
It actually looks like it almost looks like an animation or like film or something,
Yeah,
just the way it looks, doesn't it?
yeah.
It has that texture of like animation. It's a cool shot too. Tell us about this one.
That one was during the montage of the girls getting ready to like really learn how to game and be pro gamers. Um, I just remember the room was cold and I felt bad for my legs, even though I couldn't feel it.
Yeah.
Uh, so
Yeah.
that's what I remember from that little clip right there.
Tell us, for those who aren't familiar with what One Up is, tell us what it's all about.
So one up is I actually didn't know this until I did some research during my quarantining process. Um, Many colleges actually do offer esports scholarships. Esports is based on video gaming and how well can you play video games as well as beat video games. So it is about a girl named V who is part of an esports team on a scholarship. She realizes a lot of the boys on her team are quite misogynistic. So in turn, she wants to save her scholarship and be able to keep it as well as game, but you need a team. So she makes an all girls esports team. And all of the girls come from different walks of life and different skills and different sets. So they band together to show that they can game despite misogynistic, sexist statements while also being real women and not what people perceive a Hollywood based story about esports women would be. It's very fun with a lot of crude humor.
That's cool. That's very, very cool. I mentioned also activist. Tell us about that. Your activism and the causes and what it is you're wanting to get across as far as a message.
So, my main thing is actually for those who go through child abuse. The reason I'm in a wheelchair is because of child abuse when I came to this country through the foster care system. So I grew up knowing my sister who also suffered a similar incident. And to me, that's one too many. One child is too many to go through something like that, let alone that I know another. But in the world of entertainment, I so far am the only one with a story such as mine. The main causes for wheelchair using actors and actresses is cerebral palsy, spina bifida, and car accidents, all of which are awful in their own ways and tragic. But I wanted to show that it's just like hard to like formulate my words. Um, I want to show that just because of the disability never should hinder someone, nor do I think it should ever define someone.
That's terrific. So, are you involved in, do you do speaking engagements, online things? Do you get involved with charitable organizations? How are you able to express yourself?
So the way I first started out was with very dark comedy, which is something I've always done growing up. Um, and I tried to break the mold of every person with a disability, especially a story like mine. Everyone walks on eggshells when they first hear, oh, she was paralyzed from child abuse, one of the worst things you could ever think of for a child. And then they hear my comedy about it. And some people get offended for me, some people get offended at me. Um, and I'm never someone who will make fun of someone's disability that's not my own. It's not who I am. And I never condone that. I've seen people try to make jokes about other people's disabilities, and I shut that down very, very quick. But
Good,
I want
yeah.
to show that a lot of people with disabilities, we don't want you walking on eggshells. We just want you to know who we are and our personalities and if we can take that or not. And for me, I can, but other people I know don't. So I want to just break the mold in we're not all fragile, we're not all sensitive, but we're sensitive in the right ways, if that makes sense.
Even some of the descriptions and languaging has evolved in terms of how it's described in the words that have been used over the years in a very positive way, right?
I find some of the terminology for disabled people to be a little like the heart is there, but it still comes off a little demeaning. I don't like personally being called differently abled. I am disabled. The one thing I cannot do is walk. That is an ability I am incapable of doing.
Is
Uh,
that the new one that's being used?
yes,
Differently abled?
differently abled or um, what was the one I heard that just kind of made me go? It was capable of different abilities, which is a mouthful, in my opinion.
We're all capable of different abilities.
I don't want to be
We're
a mouth,
all good at different things. Yeah.
but that's the way I see it is just recognizing that yes, people have disabilities. However, putting them all into one box is never going to work because growing up, I have a lot of relatives who have different disabilities and none of us are alike. Even my
Right.
even
Yeah.
my relatives who had the exact same incident as I did were nothing alike.
Right, exactly. Yes. I mean, through your art and through your comedy, you have a story to tell. How much of your own individual story do you like to weave into the stories that you tell? And do you find that a lot of people weave that in automatically for you, or are there times where you're like, we don't have to have that as the main theme of the reason why I'm in this. Let's, do something else. You know what I mean? Is it like sometimes people will always make that the center? She's blonde, so always give her blonde parts type thing. How about for you?
Right now, in the beginning, I only was ever accepted for wheelchair auditions, whether it was for theater or film or commercial, what have you. But just now, like within like the past year, have I been accepted for roles that were just written for able-bodied people. And that warms my heart that I was just even considered because before I wasn't. They were like, "Oh, she's in a wheelchair. Well, we can only, have her submit for wheelchair roles." But it warms my heart that there are a lot of casting companies that are saying, "Hey, we like what we're seeing, wheelchair or not. At least let her submit, and we will show higher ups and potential bosses." Well, hopefully, one falls through.
Exactly right. Yes, it's all about the buzz, but also the exposure and everything else. How has that, being on Buzzfeed's One Up, how has that sort of heightened the game for you in terms of just maybe the phone ringing a little bit more and more notoriety and activity?
Um, because of One Up, while not a lot has been pummeling down my door, I would say. It was like right after that, I got the audition for Universal Studios' Wicked. I don't consider myself a singer, despite the musical theater I've been in. Because I remember being on the phone with my agent, and we were talking about auditions, and I just said, like, off the bat, before he even told me, I said, well, I don't really even consider myself a singer, because we were just talking about my theater career. And he paused and he went, so about singing, do you know of a play called Wicked? And I said,
And we
oh,
have Adina Menzel on the other end who wants to speak to you.
I know. No. I did go through with it, obviously. I was super nervous, but I do love the character of Nessa Rose. And the part went to Marissa, I'm gonna butcher her last name. Marissa Bode, I think. And she's a real wheelchair user. So I was really excited. She's going to be the very first Nessa Rose to be a paraplegic, because in the theater productions, it was always an able-bodied person. So I'm very excited to see how they handle all that. But that was because they saw the Lionsgate and Buzzfeed in my email submission, and that's how my agent managed to get me the audition to begin with.
Wow. You know, I would imagine too, your family and friends and folks around you must be very excited, happy, proud, seeing some of these things happening for you. There's nothing sometimes more really beautiful and touching is when those who've seen you do your thing and put in the time, and as I always say, the blood, sweat, and tears, and working so hard, and the ups and downs, and the waiting and hoping and getting the part, not getting the part, all the things that are a part of it, who, you know, really shape who you are and make up who you are in a professional way. They must be very proud and very excited of Lolita, huh?
It's quite funny because my mother raised me to be very skeptical of this industry, just because, you know, there are a lot of scam artists, especially in the entertainment world. So even when I got the one-up job, she kept like me on the phone that entire night going, is this legit? Are you going to end up in a ditch somewhere? What's really going on? And it took a lot of convincing, because she's also she was from the boomer era, so she's a boomer, and
So
it took a lot.
she
Like,
said, up what?
it's a lot. It's a slow process to get her to like understand just exactly how the industry works and to not really be scared for me. I'm already doing that quite well on my own, being very paranoid. But once she found out that it was all safe and that,
She's mom and she wants to make sure, and yeah,
oh, absolutely.
taken care of, and absolutely, but proud and excited and joyful and
Oh, very.
happy. Yeah, huh? That's really fantastic. Um, do you like makeup and putting makeup on and you know, dressing up in character and doing fun things
Yes,
like that?
I think my very first cosplay was an anime character from Tokyo Ghoul. And at the time,
Ooh,
I didn't have eye contacts. I didn't know how to put them in. So I would paint the ghoulish eyes over my eyelid and just kind of work with it. Um, but I think the Third Eye company saw that and went, oh, look, we got to help this poor girl. We really got to help her. So that's how I got my sponsorship with them. And they send me eye contacts for the cosplays and the different looks. And I went, oh my goodness, I can make a living off of this. This is so cool.
there is truth in advertising, everybody.
I'm Mr. White Christmas. I'm Mr. Snow. I'm Mr. Icicle. I'm Mr. Ten Below. Friends call me Snow Miser. Whatever I touch turns to snow in my clutch. Ha ha! I'm too much. I'm Mr. Green Christmas. I'm Mr. Sun. I'm Mr. Heat Blister. I'm Mr. 101. They call me Heat Miser. Whatever I touch starts to melt in my clutch. I'm too much.
That is so
Mm.
cool. Tell us about that.
So that one was the Heat Meister versus the Jack Frost one. I think it was the Santa Claus is Coming to Town animation special from like the 80s or 90s. It was a big trend on TikTok, and I think it's still going to be a trend to this day because it's such a fun song to where
And you
you,
did half of
yeah,
each. That
yeah.
is so cool. That is amazing.
That
How
was
long did TikTok, everything is sort of sped up, but how long did it take you to actually do it?
that one took me about 4 hours. I sent
4 hours.
I sent a photo to
Wow.
my mother. My mother went, "Oh, that's creepy. Don't do that."
See the see the work that goes into all of this?
She she doesn't like the creepy stuff. She likes when I do the very pretty, sparkly, very girly looks. She doesn't like the creepy stuff that I do.
We have something else here that was sent our way. That's all you're getting, folks. For another $10, she'll do more.
That one was inspired by when I was a kid. I was always asked, "Why are you in a wheelchair? Why are you in a wheelchair?" But I noticed it was a lot of the times the kids who asked me were pushed by their parents to ask me. Especially when I was in the hospital growing up, a little boy would come up to me all the time and ask me why I was in a wheelchair, and I just didn't want to talk. And he would run back to his mother and say, "She's not telling me why." And she would push him to keep asking me until I said something. So I learned real quick after telling my sisters, they informed me, just be sarcastic, Lita. Just give them an answer. And so I would make up, "Oh, I went skydiving without a parachute. I fell out of a roller coaster. Make sure you buckle in. I didn't play outside enough as a kid. I didn't eat my vegetables enough as a kid." I would just come up with the most sarcastic FU excuses. But
And they seem to work, huh?
they work or people get really, really mad at me.
That is funny. Here's something else. Boom. Imagine if I did my whole show that way too. Just after every sentence, boom. That is funny. Then it wouldn't be the art of conversation if I did bumper. That is funny. That's good stuff. Cool stuff, huh? How do you think of the different things? Do you plan it out? Do you storyboard and all that? Or does it just come to you? You grab the cameras, set things up, and let's roll because I'm being inspired to create right now.
Either I will get ideas from film, I'll get ideas from acquaintances through social media like Instagram or TikTok, and I'll be like, "Oh, I love their version of the idea. Let me add my own spin to it." Or I will just see very fun, popular trends that I would like to get in on, but add my own Lolita twist to it.
That's cool. And that's a great name, Lolita. You don't hear that name, a lot. It stands out. It's a fantastic name.
Yeah.
It's a very sort of Hollywood name, you know? Um, Now, you originally from Siberia. Have you had any desire to go there to see what Siberia is, at
No,
some point? Or have you ever been? She said two
no.
things that she answered fast: acting and no.
The reason for that is because
And that's why I said when you and I were chatting before we went live on the air, I said Serbia, because that made sense. Okay, Serbia. There's a lot of traffic back and forth to Serbia. She goes, Jim, actually, Siberia. And I said, wow.
I would never revisit simply because I've had issues in the past with Siberia that I don't know if I'm allowed to speak on, but it never worked out, and I would not feel personally comfortable ever returning. But I love the rich history and cultures of Siberia. I think their history is very interesting. It's probably some of the most interesting I've ever read. I would also say that their cultures and their lore and their mythologies are really, really interesting, but I will read that from the comfort of my home here.
In Ohio, USA. Everywhere you go around the world, there is beauty and art and people to learn from, and cultures and food, and just, stories to be told. And that's the thing about life that makes it so rich and so exciting when we take the time to really appreciate the differences and all the unique things about us all. What are some other exciting things that you have coming up, Lolita, that you're excited about?
Hopefully getting over this writer's block and getting another book out. That'd be great. But other than that, I'm still just creating the content that I love to create through TikTok, Instagram, hopefully come up with more ideas for YouTube. I also love making content over on my Patreon. It's a more tight-knit family, but I do love creating content over there as well. I also am still just pushing through with auditions, making new friends in the industry, and learning just exactly how vast this industry is, and just also how small it is at the same time.
It
I'm
is.
and I find it very, very interesting.
It is, it's crazy, it's unpredictable, but you have to really want it, and you have to really love it, and you have to, if you're lucky enough, enjoy the ride.
Absolutely.
Enjoy, because a lot of times, these industries can eat you up and spit you out and next. So you have to really make it your own, and stay authentic to who you are, and have an opportunity to express your art and who you are, and your message and your love of life, but at the same time, enjoy it while you're doing it, because it really is on many levels a gift, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I try to enjoy every second that I have, especially in this job, just because you never know how quickly you could be overlooked or set aside. But I also know that eyes are on you no matter what you do. But that's also a great thing because they could always just come back around. And hopefully that happens for a lot of people, including myself, very, very soon.
Now, you said you're having a little bit of a writer's block, huh? A
Yeah,
little, and it happens to everybody who writes. When you write, what for you in terms of your method? Some people say hardest thing, putting the first few words on the paper. Hardest thing, knowing when to end, knowing when to put the period on the last sentence, knowing when to walk away and say, that's good, I'm done. I'm final, good stuff. I can walk from it. I'm comfortable.
Mhm.
Maybe a couple of rewrites, but I'm good. And then a couple people, since I ever brought that up, I was really surprised, said the middle. So some of them, the middle is tough because they already know what they want the beginning to be. They have an idea of what the end will be, but it's the bridging of the two,
Mhm.
that middle, that some find a little tedious. How about for you?
It's actually the dialogue. I can write very, in my opinion, decent. I can write decently exactly, excuse me, how a character is feeling. I can write and describe the entire like room and space they are in. But when it comes to verbalizing their thoughts and verbalizing how they feel to another character, it has always been a huge struggle of mine. And I think that's where my writer's block always seems to fumble with my trajectory on a story. And I'm still trying to figure out how to make dialogue seem realistic. My biggest issue is I'm a perfectionist at heart. I've always have been. So when it comes to dialogue, I always think, oh, that just doesn't sound human enough. This doesn't sound like it would have been said. This doesn't sound natural. And that's where I just close the laptop and say, well, I'm done for now.
Been there, done that. Yeah, I know. I think that a lot of these industries attract a lot of people who are of that vein in certain different ways at different levels, and striving. So here's what I tell people, and I mentioned it to a legendary celebrity guest who was on just a couple of nights ago, who she was saying, she's I asked her if she's a perfectionist, and she said yes. As quickly as you said actress, she said yes. And actually, she's a world renowned sculptor,
Mhm.
and she's done the Popes. She's done Lucille Ball. I mean, she's done Frank Sinatra, and they're all at the birthplaces. You go into St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City, and her bronzes of the popes are what you see when you go into St. Patrick's Cathedral. She was a
Wow.
guest, Carolyn Palmer, extraordinary person. And she was coming to us from her studio. So you saw a lot of the work behind her. And she mentioned, she's particular. And she said, I said, "Are you a perfectionist, Carolyn?" She said, "Yes." She answered it right away. So I said, "How about this? Instead of struggling with perfectionist and using even that word, how about saying," and it's similar in terms of what the end game is and the goal, but maybe drop the word perfectionism or perfectionist, which is, what's perfect, a newborn baby, maybe in a rose. I would excellence. You're striving for excellence. Excellence would be kind of like perfection, but it's not as limiting and claustrophobic as perfection is. It's you're striving for excellence. And she said, "Oh my God, I love that. Whew, I feel liberated already." So
Sorry
that
about
it's a different way to look at it. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a good way maybe that will help with the writer's block, thinking about excellence.
that, or I just ask a friend, "Hey, does this dialogue sound like something you'd say or your friends would say? And if not, do you have any advice?" Because even though, like, with excellence versus perfectionism, I will say, strive for excellence, but the back of my brain will always say, strive for perfectionism.
You're tough on yourself, you think?
A little bit, I would
A
say,
little
yeah.
bit. Yeah. So when you are writing, you'll read it off to others so that you can
Yeah,
get their feedback.
yes, I do. I
That's a
always
good idea.
I'll read off the chapters to them and say, or I'll hand it to them and say, "Well, what do you think?" And just like write down like what your little notes would be. So they're very, very helpful, and I'm very grateful that they give me the most solid and honest advice.
Yeah.
And
That's incredible. What are some of those blessings and joys that are in your life that keep you going forward and keeping you creative and wanting to, you know, um, really take a bite out of the apple and just share it with all of us through your art?
Luna, stop it.
Oh, you have, oh,
I have a dog.
they love when there's a dog or a cat and they come in. They love it.
Oh, she's
Eh,
not allowed in my office, but she's just being, I
She's
think she's,
trying to get in there.
yeah, she's like, "I want to play." It's like,
What
I'm not.
kind of, I know I've been sitting here long enough. What kind of dog?
She's a Woodle. She's a Wheaten Terrier Poodle mix. I did not know that when I got her. I was expecting to get a Wheaten Terrier. Um, Now I have a mutt, and she's very spoiled.
Sitting there making the noises saying, "Okay, you owe me big time. You owe me big time." That is funny. Jen Barry in Pennsylvania says, "Lolita, you are now a lovety." See, they've
Oh,
been saying that you're a Jim Masters show lovety. I always say there's Grammys, Tonys, Tellys, Peabodys, Emmys, um, all these great awards, Oscars, everything that you can get. But when you're told you're a lovety on the Jim Masters show, how cool is that?
thank you so much.
Yes. Everybody says they get a little tingle when they are hearing that they're a lovety from our actual audience. You can find Lolita here, TikTok, and of course Instagram as well. And yeah, she's active and she's loving the ride. And this was really cool having you on the show, Lolita. Really appreciate it. I can't believe it seems like we just started.
I know.
Chatting, we're chatting for an hour. I
Oh,
tell you, we can fill airtime, can't we? It's
absolutely.
this was amazing, really, truly. Congratulations on everything, and you're welcome back to stop by the Jim Masters Show live series anytime. I'm so glad that our paths have crossed in life here, and you're doing beautiful work. You're having a good time. You're making people laugh. You're enjoying yourself, and there's nothing better than that. And you keep at it, and we'll keep the porch light on for you. And I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you, Lolita.
I did. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope to be back soon with wonderful, wonderful news.
Yes, congratulations on all thus far, and absolutely keep us posted. A couple of comments from our lovely viewers and our lovely squad. Uh, from the tier one section, Sherry Larson says, "Thank you for being here with us tonight and sharing your life with us. You're incredible. Blessings and all you do in the future. Good luck on the writer's block." Smiley face, heart, heart, heart. She's in the Midwest. She's a couple of states over in Kansas,
Ah,
USA. Maureen is in the Southwest and the desert in Arizona. Lolita, I love how you have taken your situation as a detour rather than a roadblock and have had a successful path in life. Isn't that beautiful? Kathleen in New York City. Thank you for being here, Lolita. You are terrific. Good luck with all you do. Jane watching in Sweden. Thank you, Lolita, for being here tonight. Thanks, Jim. Give your dog a hug. She will in just a
absolutely.
second. And Jen Barry in Pennsylvania, USA. Lolita, thank you for spending time with us. Come back soon. Kind of nice, and more will pour in later. If anybody missed this episode or you joined us late, it's archived on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, where we have could you get this, Lolita? 900 episodes we've done in less than 3 years. That's a lot of content. Thank you. A lot of good stuff, a lot of great guests like yourself and great viewers. Everything's archived on the YouTube channel. Give this episode a like. There's a thumbs up there. And of course, drop a comment on our YouTube channel and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the notification bell so you never miss any of our content. You get alerts from us because it definitely takes a village. It sure does, doesn't it, Lolita?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Everybody's supporting everybody. That's the way it's supposed to be. You be well. You take care. Thanks for all the time and being so real and authentic and fun. And we absolutely loved it. And we'll have you back soon, okay?
Thank you so much.
You be well. Take care, Lolita.
Bye.
Bye-bye now. There she is in Ohio, just outside Cleveland. And yes, boy, we had a beautiful day here on the East Coast in the Northeast, somewhere around like 60 degrees and sunny in March, which is very unusual. Nice to see everybody. Love having you guys here. If you'd like to see the episode again, you can see it here on our YouTube channel, as I mentioned earlier. We really appreciate it. Lolita Milena joining us, star of Buzzfeed's One Up, actress, author, activist, and so much more. Such a beautiful story to share. And I like what Maureen said, really looking at things more of like a detour versus a roadblock. That's really a cool way to look at life, because life throws us all kinds of different things. And she's got a cool sense of humor. She loves to write. She loves to create. She loves to act. She likes to express. That is Lolita Milena here on the Jim Masters Show. Look for her just about everywhere. Really cool to have her here on the Jim Masters Show series. Love having all of you here on the show. Support, share, celebrate what we're doing here with all this content, all these great episodes. We really appreciate you guys being here. And Maureen says, Jim, I sent you a very special email yesterday. When you get a chance, check it out. I shall. We've been in Boston the last couple of days on a TV shoot, big project. And next week, we're off to Canada. Yes, for a multi-day TV project. So looking forward to Canada. Probably still have to bundle up a little bit going up to Canada. Kathleen Walker, thank you, Jim. Great show and guest. Thank you very much, Kathleen in New York City. You guys are the best. Again, always great having you here. We hope you enjoyed the episode. And don't forget to give it a thumbs up like. We love when you do that. We love any of that when you do that. Drop a comment on the YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe to Jim Masters TV, the channel that has the Jim Masters Show. Thanks for being with us around here. You guys know we don't say goodbye. We say see you later. Ciao, cheers, slancha, moilu, avida zane, hejda. We say cheerio, slancha, shalom, sayonara. Take care and be well wherever you're watching around the world, whatever time of day it happens to be, morning, noon, or night, when you're watching with our international audience of lovedies. And don't forget to relax. Take care. Love one another. Take care of one another. And take care of yourself. You can find me on all the social media suspect places. On YouTube, of course, Jim Masters TV is the channel where our series is, our entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series. But I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Jim Masters TV. Stop by, say hi, like, follow, subscribe, all those fun things. Lolita, we thank her for being here, and we thank all of you. Thank you very much, gang. Kathleen and Sherry and Full Day Yes, and the first day of spring. Is that not fantastic? Thank you very much. Thank you, Jim, for another fantastic show. You are amazing and incredible too. Thank you very much. And toodles to Sherry. And thank you very much, Kathleen. You guys are the best. And everybody watching, those of you who are just quietly watching, you're not necessarily posting in the Lovity Hall chat room there. Feel free to leave a comment on the YouTube channel. We would love that. All right. Thanks for watching the Jim Masters Show. It's always a pleasure to have you here. If you're watching live, stay tuned. More great episodes coming up. If you are watching this Memorex, you're watching this archived, stay right here. Another great episode comes right up on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV and the Jim Masters Show. All right. Everybody's saying see you later to each other. That's what happens in the chat room. And we'll see you on the next one right here on the Jim Masters Show. I'll be right here waiting for you guys to join me. I might change my shirt, style my hair differently, but I'll be right here waiting for you. Thanks. And we love having you here. Be well. Cheers.